Welcome back, Tiger fans, to Rockin' Radio's football podcast. I'm Nate Edwards. That's Nathan Hurst. This is Before the Box Score, your first one of 2025. Happy New Year. You remember us?
We're back.
I remember me. I remember you.
I remember myself.
Yeah. We're back. We're back. We're going to talk about football because there hasn't been enough football in your life, even though the national championship just wrapped up literally 2 days ago. What did you think of the game, by the way? Did you watch it? Did you like it?
I did watch it. I would be lying if I said I watched all of it. I went to bed. I did go to bed before it was over when it was a larger margin than it ended up being. Mm-hmm. I did pop it on my phone for a few minutes and saw the long pass to Jeremiah Smith to kind of ice the game, but missed a little bit before that. And then as soon as he caught that pass, I just turned it right back off because I knew that was the end of it. But it ended up being a little more interesting than I thought it would be, but still not incredibly interesting.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the tournament.
The playoffs were great. I mean,
the
4 rounds of the top teams play. It was awesome. I thought it was as good as I hoped it would be. I mean, now each individual game wasn't necessarily a banger, but altogether, on the whole, it was an improved spectator experience over the 4-team split playoff. That's for sure.
I agree. It was fun. And yeah, games might have been clunker, but I thought the national title game was better than I thought it was going to be. Like you, I was like, oh, I guess this one's over, but let's just see what happens. And there we go, 1 score late. So yeah, all's good. I hope Missouri gets to participate sometime soon. That'll make it more fun or more agonizing. Kind of depends on how you end up and how they do. But yeah, it was good. And given the fact that this tournament's only going to expand from here, and it seems like it's only going to be giving credit to the Big Ten and the SEC, you can feel pretty confident that at some point Mizzou is going to be in there, and we'll figure out what that's going to look like in the future. But for now, let's talk about the team as we know it for right now. And we're going to get you caught up on all the news. Obviously, we were gone for about 2 weeks. Thank you for your patience. I enjoyed my time away. It was nice to not have to follow Missouri football for a little bit. Step away from the sport, learn to appreciate it, learn to miss it. So let's go through the headlines. And we're going to start with the negative stuff. Let's start with the stuff that stings, the stuff that guys going away. And mostly that's going to be based on the transfer portal, which at this point we have 2 to update you on, Jared Sensabaugh and Luke Bauer. Transferred out. Now, number one, I did not realize that Luke Bauer still had eligibility. That was a new one for me. The Jared Sensabaugh, the young defensive back, he ended up at NC State. So we know that Eli Drinkwitz loves punting battles, and we know that he was in the portal for one. I did not realize it was because Luke Bauer could have stuck around. Kind of odd to see him leave, but how do we feel about these 2 departures between Mr. Sensabaugh and Mr. Bauer?
The Luke Bauer one was strange just because by all accounts, based on everything that I had heard and read, he was ready to graduate and move on, whether or not he had eligibility or not. So it kind of seemed, and this is without knowing anything at all from the inside, but it kind of seemed like he had told the coaches he was ready to graduate and move on with his life. And so they went out and found a replacement, and then he changed his mind and they said, well, we've already got your NIL given to someone else and your scholarship given to someone else. So sorry, guy. So wish him the best. He's a fine punter. He's not going to blow your mind with his punting skills, but I think he's perfectly adequate. He'll find a soft landing spot somewhere. I don't blame him for wanting to stay in college 1 more year and play football 1 more year. If you're given a scholarship to do so, maybe a little extra cash. So good luck to him. Sensabaugh, I think this is a case of getting impatient and not seeing the field at all as a freshman, and not that he should have necessarily been surprised by that. But it's a loss in that I think the coaching staff wanted him. They obviously wanted him when they recruited him. He's a player that probably will develop into a nice, at worst, a nice piece, a nice secondary safety or cornerback. But I'm not sure exactly where he slots in there. It's obvious that another Power 5 or Power 4 team wanted him, and a little closer to home, which might have also played a role. I think he's from Tennessee, and NC State's quite a bit closer to Tennessee than Columbia is. So, best of luck to him as well. I think that they ended up more than replacing him on the other end. So it's not going to be a massive, at least short-term loss for the Tigers. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, Missouri has been pretty consistent over the past couple of years. They play 3 corners, essentially. In 2023, that was Drayden Norwood, Chris Abrams-Strain, and Ennis Rakestraw. And in 2024, that was Drayden Norwood, Toriano Pride, and Nick DeLoach. I mean, those guys accounted for all but 29, 51 snaps from the corners. Sorry, 57 snaps from the corners. All but 57. So if you're a young guy, you're like, okay, well, they're all coming back. I only got so much time on my clock. Like, I get it. I get it. He was not going to play next year. And you'd like to see the field. You'd like to see it develop a little bit more. And he went somewhere where he thought that was going to be a better chance. So I hope it works out for him. I really would have liked to see him too, because I really liked him. I liked his high school tape. It was very intriguing. And fortunately, we're not going to be able to see what he can do as a Tiger. But yeah, good luck to him. I do wish we still had Luke Bauer, by the way. Not just for vibes, like the Kentucky throw forever and ever, amen. But just, St. Louis kid walks on, becomes a punter, makes his mark, graduates from the school, goes on and does something else. Like, that's a story, man. That's a story. And in the absence of being some game-breaking NFL talent, like, stories are what you cling to in college football. And like, we're always going to have it. It's not going to go away. But you would have liked him to finish his career there. But yeah, he can make money kicking the ball. Go do it. Go do that. So good luck to him. Those are the losses so far. The portal for Mizzou is closed. We're well past 5 days from the end of the bowl game. So the next time we're going to see that is going to be after spring practice. And I'm pivoting a little bit. Did you see the news that the coaches put forward a motion to eliminate the winter portal period and just smash it into spring? Did you see that?
Meaning no transfers after bowl games, but rather wait till after spring practice to transfer. That I think I might have heard something about it, but I didn't really engage with it mentally too much at the time. That sounds terrible. I would think, if anything, they should get rid of the spring portal and only do them immediately. I'm only have immediately after the season over have a transfer portal. It seems like it'd be much harder for coaches to figure out who's going to be on the roster if they don't have any turnover until a week or 2 weeks, a month before the semester is over and the summer starts, in which case that kind of changes everything up. But I'm fine with having one transfer portal season. Having two is not necessary, I don't think, when that lands. I mean, if the coaches think that's that's going to be the best, then they probably would know better than I would. But it would make more sense to me to have one period after all the bowl games are over and the playoff games and the championship games, then the portal opens. Because now that's going to be hard because Mizzou's semester started. Yeah, we're recording this on Wednesday, started on Tuesday, January 21st. The championship game was on Monday, the 21st, the 20th. So that would not really be possible to get players into their schools before the school semester started. And ostensibly they are student athletes, so that would make it different there.
That's what they say.
Talking it out a little bit more, maybe it does make sense if you're going to have one portal season to do it in May. Then you at least have the whole summer for players to find new homes at that point. But you kind of end up just wasting your spring practice with repping up a bunch of guys that aren't gonna play for you. So that would be strange.
Yeah. And of course, then the NCAA came out and said, "Yeah, we actually can't stop you from transferring at any point." Okay, glad you threw that in there.
What do you say? What do you say you do here, NCAA? What do you say you do here?
Just cash checks, baby. Cash checks. And run tournaments, right? Run basketball tournaments. That's what they do. I don't know, man. It's weird. But yeah, for school purposes, if we're still playing that, if we're still going along with that charade, then you do need it closer to like beginning of the year, if anything. But yeah, I think the coaches are just tired of re-recruiting their roster literally every freaking hour of the day, and they just stop, stop.
I don't
Uh,
blame them. I mean, that's got to be a nightmare.
oh,
To
it
work,
is.
work
It
so hard
is.
to get a guy to commit in the first place. And then you got
Yes.
to keep, and then you got to keep doing it not only every year, but probably month to month for a lot of
Month to month.
guys
Yes,
because
absolutely.
18-year-olds are fickle. They
Very.
change their minds on a whim. So who knows? I'm sure some guys have transferred and stayed 10 times before they make a final decision.
Absolutely. And again, part of me is like, well, that's what the multi-million-dollar contract's for, to deal with these headaches, but also it is impossible to ask them to do this much. So I get it. Even all humans, even richly compensated ones, do have a limit. So I get it. But I don't know what's going to happen there. So yeah, those are the losses and a little brief foray into transfer portal talk. But we also got some additions. Mizzou got some good ones. Let's start with the offense, because most of this stuff is defensive flavor. Of course, they brought in Vince Brown the second. If you said, who is that? 3 weeks ago, I would have said, I have no idea. But he is he's a tight end, and he comes to us from Colorado State. And he will be a graduate student. So this is this 1 year that he's going to be with Mizzou. Or, well, what do I know? I don't even know what eligibility rules are anymore. So assuming he's only 1 year. So you look at every position that you could potentially add players to, and tight end certainly wasn't at the top of my list, and certainly not a player like this. You're like, okay, so what has he done? And he spent 2 years at DuPage in the junior college and 2 years in Colorado State. He's got a career 51 targets, 36 catches. And you're like, okay, what is this? What is this for? We have 5 guys on the roster that are tight ends. And then you look at what he did last year, and he was better than Brett Norfleet. He had 36 targets, 24 catches, 256 yards, 3 touchdowns. That is literally all of it is better, except for the targets, than what Norfleet managed. And yes, Norfleet was injured, but if you have injury problems once, you now have a history of injury. So this seems like more like just a bolster the ranks, create some competition in case somebody gets hurt. I don't think we're really looking at this guy to make an impact, but what do you think of him coming on board?
I mean, he's a better Tyler Stevens at worst. They lose Tyler Stevens, really didn't play very much this past year. Probably played the least of his career his last season at Mizzou. And this guy's much more accomplished than Tyler Stevens ever was, certainly receiving. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't think Brett Norfleet is in danger of losing his starting position. But when Norfleet got hurt and was out for a few weeks and then came back and was still clearly limited, I think the passing game suffered quite a bit. So this at worst is a kind of an emergent, break glass in case of emergency if Norfleet re-injures that shoulder. Because as you said, especially things like shoulders, once that thing pops out, even if you get it surgically repaired, you're much more likely to re-injure it again. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but that you never know. So he'll play. He'll find his way on the field, and it might be nice to have a very a better hands 3 tight end set where you can play down on the goal line heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you don't have to bring in a 6th offensive lineman, but instead go 3 tight ends, and you can do some fun things with a 3 tight end set. With play action, with the running game, you got some guys you can get out and split space and block. So it could just give Kirby Moore a little more to play with. I hope they kind of their tight end use. They always use a tight end. They have a tight end on the field, but the usage of them is always, it varies greatly, game to game and season to season for that matter.
Yeah. 6'6", 230 is what Colorado State said Vince Brown was. He's a little lighter than most of the linebacker, or the tight ends, I should say, on the roster. But he's got the right height. So that, I'm curious to see. I do think he's more just like a backup option. But hey, if he wants to come here and be great and be Chase Kaufman 2.0, knock yourself out. I'm 100% on board with that.
He's got great hair too, just
He
wonderful
does.
flow,
He does. Yeah.
wonderful flow.
Take a look at his picture at Colorado State. There's just too much salad falling out the bowl there, man. It's tremendous. So we also got let's see here. Oh, Jalen Catalon. Remember him? 4-star safety. Used to play for Arkansas. And now he's at Mizzou. How do we feel about this?
Man, this of all the transfers that Mizzou landed, maybe minus Bo Prabula, just because that's your potentially your starting quarterback for the next two years. This is the one I'm most excited about. Jalen Catalon is a stud. When he's been healthy and been on the field, he's been one of the best safeties in the country for now. This will be his 7th year. He's been in college for a long time. But when he can stay healthy, and unfortunately he has not been able to stay healthy, he'll play one healthy year, miss a year, play a year, miss a year, miss a half a year, kind of, every season he seems to get banged up. But when he's on the field, the guy is a turnover machine. He's a tackling machine. He had more than 90 tackles at the safety position, which is crazy. And that might say more about UNLV's defense than anything. But the guy produces, and he's produced for a long time. He's produced at the SEC level. He was out at Texas for a couple of years, injured most of his time there, but would have certainly seen the field had he been healthy. Then once he was healthy and played at UNLV for Barry Odom a second time, produced again. 96 tackles, I believe, 96, 98 tackles, 5 interceptions just last year alone. So if this guy can stay healthy, if he can stay on the field, is a massive upgrade at the safety position from really, I don't know when the last time, I mean, I guess, I don't know the last time we've had a safety playing for Mizzou that is this caliber in terms of the talent. I mean, if he had not been injury prone, he would have been a first or second round draft pick 2 or 3 years ago, I think. So Mizzou's got him for a year. Let's knock on wood. Let's rub our lucky rabbit's feet, hold our mouth right, do whatever it takes to get this guy to stay healthy, because if he's a difference maker on the defensive end, if he's on the field.
Yeah, I'm very excited for him. I hated him when he was at Arkansas, but it's great that he
was really good. He was really good. And he hit hard, and that's probably one of the reasons he couldn't stay healthy is because he just would lay people out and thus lay himself out quite a bit. But really, really good player.
Yeah, I agree. So on top of the defensive backs getting added to with the addition of 4-star Jalen Catalon, they also added another impact player, a cornerback that goes by the name of Stephen Hall. He is a 6th year because he started in 2020 at a JUCO. He is a 6th year player, so he's a graduate student. He is 6'1", 199. He's from Memphis, Tennessee. Played high school ball at Olive Branch in Mississippi. And last year, had 772 snaps at corner for Washington State with 33 tackles, 1.5 tackles for loss, 2 run stuffs, 2 passes broken up, and an interception. Nathan Hurst, this is an experience piece that gets added to the corner room. Are we at a position where now we can play 4? Kind of seems like that's what they want.
Yeah, I mean, the returning all 3 cornerbacks from this past year's squad is good, but also not the best, because it was one of the weaker positions, I think, on the field for the Tigers. Certainly on one side of the field. I think Drayden Norwood was held his side down fine. He did fine. He played well. So adding someone else was pretty much they had to do. Now, Stephen Hall come in, lots of experience. Is he a shoo-in to steal the starting job across from Norwood? Not necessarily, but he's going to create competition among the 2 or 3 other guys that are looking to play and looking to get that starting spot. And maybe if he doesn't win the spot, at least he's going to push someone else, Nick Deloach, Toriano Pride, a little bit harder. And maybe rising tides lift all boats, if you will. He's certainly going to see the field. He's certainly going to play. Whether that's at a starting role or not, I don't know. But he's a guy that it's one of those. Oh, someone gets nicked up and it has to go out for a few series. Are you going to freak out if you have to put Stephen Hall in there if Norwood turns an ankle and has to get it taped up? No, that's a guy you're comfortable with seeing snaps, and you're not afraid that all hell's going to break loose if you put him out on the field. That's a worst case scenario that he, best case scenario, he comes in clearly the second best or best quarterback on the team, wins that starting job. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case, but he's kind of a 1-for-1 replacement of Marcus Clark, but I think he's a better player than Marcus Clark. And Clark played more 2 years ago than he did last year. And so if he comes in as a better version of that, I think you're feeling good about it. I mean, this certainly doesn't make your secondary any worse. Doesn't make your cornerback room any worse. If nothing else, it creates more competition so they hopefully make each other better in the process.
Yeah. So I mean, you got Norwood, Pride, Deloach. Jamarian Wayne had 29 snaps.
Most of those were in the bowl game.
Yeah. Cameron Keys had 6 in one game. Shamar McNeil had 32 over 4 games. And then you bring in Mark Manfred, who's a freshman. So 3 of those guys, you don't really know what you have. And if you're trying to expand your rotation, because you know that Norwood's gone after next year, Pride's probably gone after next year, and Deloach is, seemingly pressing for playing time, but will be a third-year player this year, a third-year sophomore. So you do need somebody else. Now, Stephen Hall's going to be a 1-year rental unless this JUCO rule kicks in and he magically finds his 7th year of eligibility. But, assuming not, you're losing 2, potentially 3. No, almost always. No, as long as Pride plays more than 4 games, he's gone too. So there you go. So you could be losing them all. And you really would like to not have to press anybody who's not ready. But you'd also like to have some experience in there. So I like the Hall edition. I think he's a good corner. I think if you held their feet to the fire, they probably wanted a younger guy who was proven, but so does everybody, right? Everybody wants a proven youth who will stick around for a couple of years. No crap. But you take what you can get. And Stephen Hall's a great corner, and I think he can work his way into the rotation. He is basically the same size as everybody else that's on the roster, so it's a good ad. I think it's good. And now you can feel pretty good about placing 4. At least in theory, you are placing 4 corners out there, which is nice. So in addition to him, I know we're kind of hiding the ball here, but let's talk about it now. Damon Wilson II, hello. Hello, sir. Welcome to Missouri. Former 5-star defensive end. Used to be at Georgia. Now he's at Mizzou. Sounds like another guy that he used to play with. Goes by the name of Darius Smith. But yeah, Mr. Wilson, after 2 years at Georgia, played 12 games his freshman year. And that's a 2023 freshman year at Georgia, renowned for their good defensive line. He has played 488 snaps in his career, through 416 of them last year, the most recent year. He is 6'4", he is 250. He already has he had 4 tackles for loss last year, 5.5 for his career, 3 sacks last year, 3.5 on the career, and 1 forced fumble to go along with it. I don't know how else to describe this other than just a huge get, an impact transfer in a place that Mizzou absolutely needed one. How excited are you for this guy?
I mean, short of Jalen Catalong, excited to get Damon Wilson. You just said everyone wants young players with experience, with years of eligibility left, and ding, 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 Damon Wilson is that guy. I mean, he comes in with at least 2 years of eligibility left. I mean, in a perfect world, he only plays 1 year for Mizzou. That's because he tears it up and goes to the draft next year.
Sure,
But we get this guy for at least 1, if not 2 years. He was the number 1 rated defensive end in the portal, for on 3, and those rankings can be debated till the cows come home. But they felt like he was the best defensive end that transferred this year, and Mizzou got him, and it was down to Mizzou and Ohio State. And we beat out Ohio State for him. And, he visited Ohio State and then immediately committed to Mizzou. So big time get. Has production, not, mind-blowing numbers necessarily, but he was in a rotation of probably 5 or 6 guys at Georgia doing exactly what he did. And so it's not like he was a every down pass rusher just because he didn't need to be. They had lots of guys to rotate in there. But when you're losing a guy like Johnny Walker Jr., who had 9.5 sacks last year, I think, so what, 16, 17 sacks in the last 2 years. That is a lot of pass rushing production that you're having to replace. And the guys that were already on the roster really weren't those type of big sack number guys. Zion Young's more of an edge setter. Eddie Kelly can get some, can pressure the quarterback, but it's not, you're not going to really count on him to give you more than 2 or 3 sacks in a season. Darius Smith is a big unknown, very talented, very athletic, but injured and just really hasn't seen the field either at Georgia or at Mizzou. So having a guy that has come in and gotten sacks and gotten a good amount of sacks, a good amount of pressures, several forced fumbles, several recovered fumbles. He's exciting, and he's built exactly like you would want a devastating defensive end to be built. He's got all the talent, the strength, the speed that you would want. It's exciting to pair this guy up. I imagine he's going to step in and be a starter from the beginning of the season. Now, who starts next to him, it doesn't really matter because they're going to rotate in guys. I mean, whether it's Darius Smith healthy now, whether it's Zion Young, those would be probably the top 2 likely candidates for that other spot. But he's going to supplement those guys. They're going to supplement him because I think he's going to be a breakout guy, being on the field a lot, finally really getting a chance to be the guy on a defense.
Yeah. And when you have defensive ends, you have the run setters and you have the pass rushers. And Johnny Walker and his 22 and a half sacks or 22 and a half tackles for loss, that is your rusher. That is the guy who disrupts everything. So yeah, you still have Zion Young and Eddie Kelly, to your point. They're on one side. You are looking for the Johnny Walker replacement. And now you have 4 options. Like you said, Darius Smith, who's coming off of injury. Nate Johnson, who was brought in from Appalachian State. I feel like that's who they thought they were going to rely on before they got there, David Wilson, because he's almost built exactly the same at 6'5", 240. But so yeah, it was like a G5 guy who produced really well. So you have that option. Now you also have Langdon Kitchen, who is the giant from Huntsville, Missouri, over at Northwest Missouri State. You're like, all right, well, here's another option that we can throw at another younger guy. He was a D2 call up, and now you add Damon Wilson into the mix. So how do you replace Johnny Walker? You replace him with numbers, right? This kind of goes back to what they did from 22 heading into 23, where you just threw numbers at the problem and said somebody is going to figure this out. And they have 4 really good, intriguing options to pair with the 2 that they already have. And that's not even counting Ja'Kai Lane, who saw playing time last year, who I've liked for a long time, who will be entering his 3rd year. That's not even counting, Dayton Hopkins, our wine country warhammer from Herman, Missouri, or Javian Hilson, the 5-star from Cocoa, Florida. Like, look, I'm not saying recruiting stars determine stats, but you have a lot of really intriguing options here and a huge collection of recruiting star talent, all in just your defensive ends. Like, I'm so excited. And they're young, and they're going to play multiple years. I can't wait to see what this is going to look like.
Yeah, that room has gone from before last year, in the offseason of last year, before they started taking in transfers, by far the shallowest room, meaning the least, the least amount of depth, least amount of talent in that room, to the deepest position group on the defense for sure, if not the entire team. Last year that would have been the wide receiver group. That's not the case. So I think it's not only now incredibly deep, lots of different guys, but lots of different body types too. So you can play. This is going to give them an opportunity to play around with, like a Langdon Kitchen, as you said. He's monstrous. He's probably not your pin your ears got back speed rusher guy, but if you need to put some beef on the line and you want to have a really big guy that can on a 3rd down, 4th down, and short, and try to set that edge, you put him and Zion Young on the other side, and you've got a really, really stout edges right there. If you want really, your speed rushers, you put Darius Smith on one end, you put Damon Wilson on the other end, and tell them, pin your ears back. I don't care what the running back does. You're getting 10 yards deep as fast as you possibly can. They've got that option, and then they've got just in waves. So if they wanted to rotate 2 or 3 guys, every other play, and so that everyone is always, running at max efficiency, they have that option. I mean, it kind of reminds me, and we'll see how it plays out, but that 2013, 2014 defense that had 4 or 5 elite guys that could already had your Michael Sam and your Shane Ray and your Marcus Golden and your just list them off. Now, are all these guys end up being that caliber? I don't know, but that's the last time I can remember having a defensive end position that has this many guys you feel really good about.
Absolutely. And then the most recent development, again, defensive development, Tristan Newson, the JUCO product from Northeast Mississippi. Now, if you'll remember, Diego Pavia, one of my favorite players in all of college football, threw a little lawsuit out and said that his time spent in junior college robbed him of earning revenue as a person, as an entity, for at least the 2 years that he was down there, and that he should be given an extra year of eligibility to capitalize on his popularity, on his name, image, and likeness. And they ruled in his favor. So if you spent, at least, I think it's at least 1 year, at least 2 years, I forget what it is. If you spend time in JUCO, then you get an extra year of eligibility. Tristan Newson spent 2 years in JUCO before he came to Mizzou. He played over 4 games in all 4 of those years. So traditionally he would be done, but now, magically, you get an extra year of eligibility to capitalize on your likeness. I'm not saying that the linebacking room was shallow. Obviously, Mizzou did a lot of work to fill that out, namely bringing in Mekhi Gbainer from Nebraska, and then, of course, Josiah Trotter from West Virginia. So, they did what they needed to do. But now you're in a situation where instead of looking at Khalil Jacobs and a Jeremiah Beasley or Nick Rodriguez to fill it out, you have those 2 transfers plus those 2 guys, plus Tristan Newson, who's been playing with Mizzou since 2023. Again, I'm not going to say our cup runneth over. It's not the greatest linebacking core of all time, but it certainly is deep. And if you want options, Mizzou's got them now.
Yeah, I mean, the defense is better with Tristan Newson on the roster. And given the fact that they brought in, a lot of more talent, have young guys that I think they like, in Nick Rodriguez and Brian Huff as well. Khalil Jacobs will be healthy and ready to go. He might actually see a little bit less playing time in terms of the number of snaps that he was on the field last year. But I think that's fine. He's going to bring leadership to the position. He's going to bring experience. He'll be by far the most, he and Jacobs, I guess, will have about the same amount of experience in Batoon's system anyway, as anyone else. But it's great. I mean, he was the one guy who was healthy, Jacobs notwithstanding, who created some havoc from that position last year. And so having that guy back, we're not really sure yet what we're going to get from Bayor or Trotter. I think they're going to be good, but what types of players are they? Are they going to be pass rushers? Are they going to be get in the backfield and stir stuff up, or are they going to be more Chuck Hicks type, got to plug the hole and hopefully not commit a personal foul every play, or every game anyway. We'll see, but this defense is better with Tristan Newson, and you look at all the guys they brought in. You listed up off a bunch that we haven't even talked about today. On top of Catalan, Wilson, Newson back. This defense goes from this might be kind of scary to this unit probably will be better next year than it was this year. I hope it is. It has a chance to be. Certainly on the back end with a guy like Catalan coming in, a couple other safeties that I think that the safety position will be better. Secondary won't, the quarterback position won't be worse because it's all the same guys. So hopefully they all improve in some capacity. The linebacking core has gotten better. I have to think it's gotten better, especially with Newsom coming back. Defensive end room has gotten deeper. Now they lose Johnny Walker, who's their best guy, and I'm not sure if they're going to have anybody that's going to rack up 9.5 sacks next year. But they certainly have way more bodies to throw at the problem. And then your defensive tackle position is kind of the same. We lose Christian Williams, which was a big loss. That one might be at this point gone from a strength to maybe the weakest unit on the defense. And if that's the weakest unit on the defense, I think this defense is in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. And then, moving from the actual roster to the staff, Missouri got itself a new linebackers coach. I remember that DJ Smith, the longtime linebackers coach and co-defensive coordinator for Eli Drinkwitz, who was with him at Appalachian State, came with him to Mizzou, went back to App State. He is now the Mountaineers defensive coordinator. So Mizzou had some money to throw at a new linebackers coach, and they got their guy. His name is Derek Nicholson. He comes to Mizzou as late from Miami, Florida, where he was a co-DC and a linebackers coach for the past 2 years for the Hurricanes. And he comes to Mizzou. If you remember this name, if you're an old guy like me, you'll remember him as the inside linebacker for Florida State back 2008, 2009. He was a dude that was like a Butkus Award watch list, Chuck Bednarik Award watch list. I think he only played a couple years in the NFL, but essentially went straight to coaching. And he's been a coach in the college ranks since 2013. He's got some kind of just 1 year stops at Akron, Louisville, Alcorn State. He was a defensive line coach at Southern Miss from 2016 to 2017, then became the co-DC for 18 and 19. And then from 20 to 22, he was Louisville's inside linebackers coach. Then he went to Miami. So this is a guy who is a Florida dude. It's where he grew up. I guess he grew up in North Carolina, but he went to college in Florida. He has coached in Florida. It seems to be that Missouri has prioritized Florida as a recruiting base, especially with Jacob Peeler on staff. I can't speak to his linebacking acumen, but like it seems like a hire that makes sense. What do you think?
Yeah, from everything I've heard, he's a great recruiter. The Florida connection makes a lot of sense based on where they're really starting to devote some time and resources and effort and energy and having success in doing so down there. And those have all been offensive players other than Xavier and Hilson. So getting a defensive guy down there doing, pulling equal weight in that talented area is great. He's got Power 4 experience, as you mentioned, Louisville for a couple of years. He was actually was supposed to follow Scott Satterfield to Cincinnati from Louisville, but then got the job at Miami right after Satterfield moved to Cincinnati. He said, that's a better job, so I'm going to take that. So it seems like it's kind of a coup to get him out of Miami. I mean, it may be a lateral move for him. That said, Miami's defense was not good last year and probably kept them out of a playoff berth because their offense was playoff caliber, but their defense wasn't. Now, he wasn't fired by any means. I mean, he was the co-defensive coordinator, was his title. And so, maybe he was feeling a little hot seat a little bit. I don't know. Hard to say. Their defense was not good. So I don't think that necessarily reflects on him personally. But it is interesting. We have Corey Flagg come in who was coached by him for a year, and then he comes in and follows him. So I'm not sure if that means anything at all or just coincidence. I was trying to look for, because most, if not all, of Drinkwitz's hires have some connection to him. And the only connection I could find is that Scott Satterfield connection, which Drinkwitz actually never coached with Satterfield either, but Satterfield was at Appalachian State before Drinkwitz was. So I'm not sure if they know similar people because they know guys who know guys. But it seems like a good hire. I mean, you're going to replace a guy who was a loss, and you're not going to just fill those shoes overnight. So I think this is as good as you can get. He's got co-DC experience as well, so I don't think he's getting that title, at least yet. He might earn it at some point, but
yeah,
win some recruiting battles, put a good linebacking core on the field for a couple of years, and he might be a co-DC again before you know it.
I think it's just more of a commentary on Mizzou and its place in the pecking order. This is a situation where Mizzou said, we lost a position coach to become a coordinator. So we're going to go take a blue blood, a brand name position coach, and we're going to bring you to our staff. And they could do it. I choose to view that as something that's Mizzou centric. Now, if you want to branch it out and say, no, it's more of a commentary of SEC over ACC, sure. Okay. That's fine too. But this is a lateral move for him. It might even be a demotion if he doesn't get the co-DC title, and he took it. And he came to Mizzou from Miami. I think that speaks volumes about what Mizzou's doing football-wise, at least in how they compensate their people, which at the end of the day, from an industry standpoint, that's really what matters. Like your reputation as an employer is the cash that you're paying out and how you compensate your labor. That's how I choose to view this. That Mizzou can just take their pick from the after rants and say, we're going to take your position coach that we like, and we're going to be successful.
Yeah,
ignoring whoever they actually wanted, how those talks went out. So there you go.
Right. Well, we've talked about, the last few times that Mizzou has lost someone off the defensive staff, they've taken better jobs, right? They've left to step up. And so we've talked about how those are losses, but at the same time, it's ultimately a good thing, because you're going to be able to attract equally, other talented people, because they say, oh, if I go to Mizzou, I can be the next defensive coordinator at Appalachian State if I'm their linebackers coach. Or if I go to Mizzou and I can be the defensive coordinator at LSU, or in the case of Steve Wilkes, I can go to the NFL. No, in his case, back to the NFL. But those guys all left and went to equal, if not better jobs. So that's a good thing to show that show coaches that they can come here and their career will be better for it. And this isn't a dead end job by any means. So this is just another example of that.
Yeah. You want guys who are climbing the ladder, because they tend to be pretty good. And if they are good for you and they get what they want, then you replace them with someone else who's good. And the machine keeps chugging, baby. So I'm very happy about this. It's less about what Nicholson can do in the immediate term for the linebackers and more about what Mizzou can do for itself as a program moving up in the world. So I think it's a good thing. That's all the news, man. We were only gone for 2 weeks, but it felt like, a billion different things happened. And that's just kind of the beauty of the transfer portal world. But yeah, I think we covered everything. Mizzou basketball is good, right? Like they're legitimately good.
They're good. They're good. Yeah.
Okay.
They just lost a rather disappointing game last night, but they're good. The problem is the SEC is just an absolute monster this year in basketball, which is the first time. This is the best probably the SEC's ever been, I have to think. So Mizzou's good. That doesn't mean they're going to have win 30 games because their day at week game in and game out, it's very difficult. But they're good, so it's worth they're worth following. If any of you Mizzou football fans who kind of sworn off Mizzou basketball for the last year or two want to come on back, they're fun. They are very fun to watch.
There you go.
Which is not something you can say about Mizzou basketball in the last 10 years. You can't say that too much. So this is a very fun team to watch.
Yeah. SEC basketball is now like SEC baseball, which is like SEC football, which is like SEC gymnastics, which is like SEC women's basketball,
softball,
which is like
SEC softball.
SEC softball
might be the toughest of any of the sports.
Like, this is where we are. This is where we are. This is what we're doing now.
Just stupid.
But hey, you're in the greatest conference in the world. That's not the Big Ten.
We've got a seat at the table,
and then for now, you have a seat at the table, which is really nice. But yeah, so if you don't remember, the basketball boys are going to do their thing. They're locked into the season, so you get plenty of podcasts from them. And of course, you've got the Olympic sports podcast, all the young writers, and of course, Karen, who herds cats and brings everybody together and gets you good information on all the Olympic sports that we cover here as well. We are going to be every other week. We're going to cover all the football stuff that happens there. So yeah, check in. We'll be around. We'll catch up with you. We'll keep writing stuff and begin the 7-month slog to the beginning of the 2025 season. But that is our show for today. As always, we appreciate the downloads and the subscriptions. You can leave a comment or you can rate us. We love all types of feedback from you all. You can follow us on Twitter at Matt and A.G. Edwards. He's at First to Hers. And of course, you can follow the Rockham flagship at Rockham Nation and our podcasting outlet at Rockham Radio. And if you're messing around Blue Sky, we're all over there as well. We appreciate you tuning in this time. We'll try to do better next time. And until then, MIZ.
ZOU.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Rock M Radio, a proud partner of Fans First Sports Network. Rock M Radio is the official podcast network of Rock M Plus, a new and exciting subscription service provided by me and the other voices of Rock M Radio. Please take a few moments to head over to rockm.plus and sign up for an account today. The cost is only $5 a month, and the benefits include access to our live podcast, a subscriber-only message board, weekly newsletters, and more. If you enjoyed this episode of Rock M Radio and would like to see more just like it beamed directly into your personal device, Make sure to click the subscribe button below and tell your friends. Our podcast feed is available through the Apple Podcast app for iPhone, Google Podcast app for Android, whatever app you listen to your podcast. You can also find Rock M Radio on Spotify. If you're looking for a podcast about your favorite team that is not the Missouri Tigers, Fan First Sports Network is your answer. A full podcast network loaded with the team-specific podcasts covering Major League Baseball, the NFL, NHL, NBA, MLS, and more. And we'll be back with more episodes of Rock M Radio coming to you soon.